What is going on, guys? We're back today with some fantastic, wonderful, lovely, controversial, very much talked about top 50 player ratings for EA Sports NHL 19. EA has went out there, they have released players 50 through 41 on their list, giving them overalls, giving them ratings. And I tell you what, this is a juicy one. This is one of the juicier ones I've seen in a while for EA. I think they just wanted us to talk about their game a little bit, so they tried to stir it up a little bit. I'm here for you. We got 10 guys here. Gonna go over the 10 guys, what I'm thinking about them, what I'm not thinking about them. Let's go and get it started. Jonathan Toews. We see him here, right? 87 overall, and Toews will always be, speaking of controversial, the most controversial guy in the NHL series when it comes to player ratings. Let's be completely honest here. I think he's the most talked about guy every year. You hear the guys saying he deserves it. You hear the guys saying, no, he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't put up 90 points a year, and he's this, he's that. But let's stop and think about it for a second. Maybe part of that being the reason is there's so many people. You see Toews, he's getting paid $10 million a year, right? So maybe people should hold him to this huge high standard of dropping 90 points a year. But he's never done it before. Regardless of how much Chicago went out there and paid him, he's always been a defensive juggernaut. Not an offensive juggernaut, a defensive juggernaut. He's never going to be an offensive juggernaut. Keep in mind, it wasn't, 3 seasons ago? EA slapped this guy with a 94 overall. He didn't drop no 80 points that season either. It was another one of them 60-some point seasons, because that's what Jonathan Toews does. He scores you a modest amount of points, and he shuts you down on defense, and he wins you draws. So if you look at him at this point, maybe you could have said 94 was a little much. Maybe it wasn't a little much. But when you look at it at this point in time, later in his career, if you want to call it later in his career, what is he now, 31? He seems a lot older than he is, I'm pretty sure, though. And if you consider an 87 overall for a guy that's really well defensively, I think it's pretty fair. When you look at a lot of guys in the 87 overall range that are really good defensively, that's kind of where you see them fall, is at 87. So I think it's a pretty fair number for Jonathan Toews. Let's hear it from the rest of you guys. I know you guys will be interested. But what I'm more worried about is these next 4 guys on the list. As far as goaltending is concerned, this blows my mind. Forever will blow my mind. Matt Murray, Pekka Rinne, Freddie Anderson, and Andrei Vasilevsky are all 88 overalls. In other words, we're calling these 4 goalies equivalent to each other in the eyes of EA. So let's start with Matt Murray. I really don't get it. I'm completely don't get it. I'm going to start by saying this, though. I drafted Matt Murray in my fantasy draft last year. Was it first round, second round? He was really high. It was an ESPN fantasy draft. They don't really watch hockey, so they don't really know where to properly rate guys. He was like 6th overall, or was he second? I forget where I took him. My point is, with Matt Murray, I had all the confidence in the world in the guy. I backed the guy. I had faith in the guy. I have no animosity towards the guy. I like the guy, right? So I got to say that before I go out here and bash on him for you guys. So you guys understand, this is not in any sort of, besides the fact that he went out there and wrecked a fantasy team save percentage in a season. And the fact that I don't see Pittsburgh winning either one of them cups without Matt Murray stepping up for him. But they gave him a +2 on his overall. He was an 86 overall in NHL 18. And they gave him a +2. He had an abysmal season. He played 2 full seasons. 2! And they were semi-full seasons so far in his career. He still hasn't taken that full workload of a number 1 goalie where you see them get around about 65 starts. He's had 49 starts in 2 straight seasons. And I understand there's reasons behind that, but it doesn't matter. Look at John Gibson. The guy's played 5 seasons. He has a career .923 save percentage, and he just notched his first season with 60 games played. Gibson won't make this top 50. Almost guarantee it. Which is an absolute disgrace, to be honest. But it just puts it in perspective why Murray has no belonging here. When he hasn't taken on that full workload to prove himself, and we haven't even gotten to his numbers yet this season. They were abysmal. A .908 save percentage on any team is unacceptable, let alone on the reigning back-to-back cup-winning teams. And I get it, the game bases overall on history. I completely understand that. But he's got a 2-year history. Plus Stanley Cup, right? What kind of history is that to go off of? 1 season? He's proven himself in 1 season in his career. We've learned in the past that playoff stats are pretty irrelevant. Like I said, you can't discard how well he played in the playoffs 2 straight seasons. It was incredible to watch, right? Doesn't matter. If that was the case, Jake Gensel would have came into it with a 90 overall. Was that 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he went out there and lit it up in the playoffs? It doesn't matter. You can't base a player's overall on how they do in the playoffs. Now, if you want to consider greatest player of all time or better than this guy compared cup, sure. But I mean, the same reason people don't want to see Jonathan Toews on this list are the reason they're going to say Matt Murray deserves to be on the list, right? You got to make up your mind. It's got to be one or the other, right? People will be like, oh, Toews won 2 cups. Oh, what did he do? Who cares, right? And then they'll be like, oh, Matt Murray won 2 cups. He deserves an overall bump. Like, you really can't discount how well Matt Murray played in the playoffs, but you can, it's a video game. At the end of the day, this is a video game. I love the fact that they look at history and everything, but you have to have the most weight on the most recent year giving a player. And there is no way, ever in a million years, can you go out there and back giving a guy a +2 on his overall after having a terrible season. Downright terrible season. He had his ups and his downs, I understand, but it was an awful start to the season. So bad that there was no recovering from it. It didn't matter. If I didn't want my reflection of overalls from the year before, why are we even making a new game? That's always been my thought on that one. You gotta have the weight on it. It makes 0 sense. 0 cents at all that this guy got an overall bump. And here's why it really makes 0 sense. Listen to me real quick here for a sec. Matt Murray got a +2 on his overall, having a terrible season. Andrei Vasilevsky got a -2 on his overall. Right, 92 and 88. Vezina finalist. And I kind of understand the Vasilevsky minus thing because, again, it's the young goalie thing. That's the way EA treats young goalies. They don't get that big overall bump to start their careers. Which is why I'm so confused on this Matt Murray thing. So confused. My face hurts. I ain't even looking at myself. And the reason you see Matt or Vasilevsky also get that lower overall is because, typically at the end of games, you see the guys' overalls go up a little bit higher, even off of Hut, like outside of Hut. You see the guys have a little bit of a 90, 91, 92, and you'll see them come back down to earth and lose a couple overall points. I think that's kind of the case with Vasilevsky. But then you see Pekka Rinne, Vezina winner. I'm sorry, what? You gave him a -1? You even said he was the best goalie in the league last year in your description. And how he's been dominating the league for years. And you gave Pekka Rinne, the Vezina winner, a downgrade. Completely. Unless every single player, the highest overall is an 89 or 90 overall, I would never, ever, ever understand how Pekka Rinne gets an 88 overall. There's literally no explanation. None. Guy's been a phenomenal goalie for years. And he got a downgrade. This guy's, again, you go to the Taze thing. Pekka Rinne was at the top of goalie list for years on NHL. He was seeing them 92, 93 overalls. And when you judge by the past, he's got the past credentials. You judge by last year, he was the best goalie in the league. -1. Yeah, I need an explanation on that one. Of all players, that's the biggest one that needs an explanation. No way do you put Pekka Rinne in the same boat as Matt Murray. I mean, he doesn't belong in the same boat as any of these 4 guys. He's been doing this for decades, or a decade. Freddie's been doing it for a few years now. Vasilevsky's starting to dip his toes in the water as, good goalies. That doesn't mean they've been doing it as dominantly as Pekka Rinne has for him to deserve a downgrade. And then you bring up Freddie Anderson, right? Freddie Anderson was a +1 on the overall, which is understandable. I respect it. And I think a lot of people would be like, Freddie Anderson doesn't deserve to be on this list. He absolutely does deserve to be on this list. He deserves every single bit of that 88 overall. I'd argue him to be higher. I mean, you know how many shots this guy's seen since being on the Leafs? 4,200. 4,200 shots in 2 seasons. Do you know who's seen more than that? Absolutely nobody. Not a goaltender in the league has seen more shots than Freddie Anderson. I understood people discrediting Anderson and Anaheim because that's just what people do. John Gibson, we brought it up earlier. That's what people do. They just like discrediting goalies in Anaheim. John Gibson, 923 save percentage, 86 overall. I don't care what team you play on. A 920 save percentage just doesn't happen. Look at Matt Murray. We just brought it up with Matt Murray. A 908 save percentage on a team like the Penguins. Doesn't add up. You got to give some guys credit. I don't think they get enough credit sometimes. Freddie Anderson is one of those guys. There's one player on Toronto that you take away from that team and they don't make the playoffs. It's not Austin Matthews. It's not Willie Nylander. It's not Mitch Marner. It's not Nikita Zaitsev. It's not Morgan Riley. It's Freddie Anderson. I mean, look at Dallas, for example. Or even better, Edmonton. How'd Connor McDavid do this season? Oh, that's right. 100 points plus 20. How'd that go for him? Didn't make the playoffs. Why didn't he make the playoffs? Because Cam Talbot had a terrible season. Last season, guy posted a 919 save percentage of 239 goals against. This season, 908, 3 goals against average. You see the difference maker there? 3 straight seasons of a 918 plus save percentage for Freddie Anderson. And he has the exact same save percentage as Pekka Rinne has in those 3 seasons. And his save percentage is better than Matt Murray's, and it's better than Vasilevsky's over that same time span. It's really tight together. I'm not arguing Freddie Anderson to be better than all these guys. I'm just saying he deserves to be in that boat. That kind of proves it. Freddie Anderson's very deserving of the spot in this list. Love seeing EA give him a spot. And we've seen Ryan Suter come in at an 88, Jakub Voracek, Ryan Getzlaf, Nicky Backstrom, all 88s, 44 through 42, and they're all kind of in the same boat, at least the forwards are, where they're not predominant goal scorers. I know people be like, 20 goals ain't easy in the NHL, right? Well, in the eyes of EA, 20 goals doesn't get you those fancy, spinancy, high shooting stats. And it really shouldn't when there's guys scoring 40, right? Twice as many as them. Doesn't make you a bad NHL player. Does make you a bad overall rated player for the game. And when you consider these three guys, like I said, in the same boat, it depends who's ahead of them. Backstrom's a great center. Voracek just had a career year. Getzlaf has been doing great things for a long time now. But there's a lot of good players in the NHL. We have to see who is number 40 through number 1. And then you can speculate, like, he should have been ahead of this guy, or he should have been ahead of this guy. Right now, 88 overall, I can understand it. Definitely see the arguments for a couple of them being higher if you want to make them, but I understand where they're at. And then you see 41, John Carlson. Same as the guys above, right? But the difference with Carlson is I just felt like he had an absolutely stellar year. But like I said, you bring it about Voracek too if you want, I guess, right? And I kind of expected out of Carlson, the way he played, just to see a little bit higher of an overall, 88 overall. But again, like I said, we got to see who's ahead of him. There's 40 other spots that got to be given to forwards, defensemen, 5 positions, right? We'll see what kind of defensemen are ahead of him. There's a lot of good players that aren't on the list yet. They have to be on the list. They probably won't be. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, though, pretty controversial top 10 to start the list. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion. Everybody can think differently. I'd like to know what you're thinking about this top 10. Or top 10. Bottom 10? 50 through 41? So please do let me know down below. As always, though, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.